Kung Fu Panda just released this weekend. Got a chance to see it last night. How does it compare to the others? Let's get into it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as I rant about movies and comics and board games. And this time we're going to be talking about Kung Fu Panda 4, which just released. I was pretty excited to see it, mostly because I was in the mindset. But before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe. I am trying to grow the channel, and if you like hearing my rants, then this might be the channel for you. I am Frank Zanko, your host. I am an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, so I kind of look at my reviews based on that. If you're looking for anything I've written, of course, I am on Amazon with a variety of different novels and graphic novels. And plus, if you're looking for something that's signed, we are releasing our late pledge right now for Lords of L.A., my vampire mob set in 1950s Hollywood. The link below has the crowdfunding link to fund my comic, which is where it's at right now. We were funded on Kickstarter. And so, no matter what happens with the thing, it is going to come out. And we have about 8 pages of art left. So if you can help me out with those last few pages, that would be great. And it's 48 pages in length, so we're pretty much almost there. All right, so let's jump into Kung Fu Panda 4. And I have seen the others, but they kind of all meld together. I really don't remember exactly in what movie what happened, but in here we do have returning performances by Jack Black, who is very good in the role. He does alter his voice slightly, so it doesn't actually just sound just like Jack Black. And this is some of my problems with some of the other character voices. So Bryan Cranston returns as Poe's blood father, his biological father. And Dustin Hoffman returns as Shifu, which is his teacher. And then James Hong returns as his adopted father, which is a bird of some kind. I want to say store, but that's not it. Crane. I think he's a crane, yeah. And Ian McShane returns as a returning villain in Tai Lung. Then we have some new characters. And I'm not sure I particularly like the choice here where we always have to choose, a actor as opposed to a voice actor. I think that in some cases a voice actor, when you have this kind of cast, is fine. You don't need to continually add people that have name recognition when you already have Jack Black in the main role. I was surprised to see that Mr. Beast played a role as Panda Pig. I don't know. I don't know. I assume they did it just so he could post about it. I don't know. Also, Ki Hua Kwan from Indiana Jones and Everything All at Once was also in it. Smaller role because I don't even remember what he was in this. Who Han was. So my biggest problems are Awkwafina coming in to play Zen. Not that she did a bad job, but I'm tired of hearing Awkwafina in every role. I mean, plus I don't think that scratchy voice really matched the character of Zen, because Zen was, more of a smooth talker and, a con fox. So I expected more of a female kind of voice rather than this kind of scratchy voice. Of course, she and Jack Black also had already acted together in Jumanji 2. So, there was already a link there. So I don't know if he just recommended her for the role or what. And then Viola Davis, who's, is good in everything she does, but she has a very, very, just like Awkwafina, a very unique voice. So as soon as you hear the voice, you just see the actor. And I think that's part of the problem, is that I'm seeing the actor, especially with Viola Davis. And yeah, I think they could have chosen some. I know I appreciate the deep voice that they needed for that role, and commanding voice, and she was a good pick for that. However, it just brought me out of the film every time she talks. I'm like, it's Viola Davis, So I think she and Aquafina could have just been just voice actors, and it would have been just as good. So the film, my problem with the film now, it does have a good message, which a lot of these, animation pieces need to have good voice, good messages because of the fact that you are, speaking mostly to children. Now the theater I was in, there was barely ever anybody in it. Thankfully, the guy next to me, he was bothering me with his phone being out, but at least it wasn't throughout the entire film. I had just gotten back from Gamma, so I just, did a 7-hour drive the night before. So I really wasn't in a mood to fight. Anybody who knows me knows that's weird because I'm always in a mood to fight. But I let it go. Mostly I just didn't want to get into it. And I really didn't want to I already have a reputation at that theater about getting into fights. So, where they have to pull me apart from the other person. So I didn't really want to, get into my rep going even worse. I don't want to be banned from the theater. So anyway, but again, it was understandable that the theater really didn't have anybody in it because the weekend is when the kids are off, and I think that's when it's going to explode, which was great. So the message is in this film that you can be more than what you are, or even what you imagine yourself to be. So rather than locking yourself into what you want to be, or the only thing that you want to be, you have to know that by branching out, you might find something more about yourself. Which is, it's a great message, and I miss the fact that there were morals in these kind of films, where it was messaging that was more universal rather than a preachy thing about how bad we are and how we mean we are to everyone. That's been the message lately in films, and I like this little bit more positive, hopeful type of message that's again mostly aimed at children. So, but to do that, the plot is, and I'm not going to go into spoilers, I'm just going to go into basic plot here. The basic plot is that Poe has to give up the Dragon Warrior motif or whatever, his station, and pass it along to someone else. So he has to become a mentor to someone else. But the problem is that the movie and the script never explain why. He's not like he's aging out. It's not like he's not doing his job. He is, and they show that throughout the film, even in the beginning, that he is doing his job, that he is loved by everyone. But yet Shifu tells him that he's got to give it up. It doesn't make any sense. You don't throw somebody out of a position when they're doing a good job. And that's basically the other moral that this thing inadvertently says, is that you could be doing a good job and you still have to pass it on, even if that time has not come for you, which I found very strange. So the script, so as I said, the acting is good, outside of the couple of things that I would change because of recognition. The acting is good. The animation is phenomenal. They did a great job with textures and things to that effect, like Shifu's his sash and stuff like that has this kind of luminescent type of silky look to it. I was watching that, it was amazing. And after a while, you forget the fact that you're even sitting in an animation piece, that's how it's supposed to be. So hats off to the animators, the set creators, all that stuff. The directing, this was not directed by the other, which may have been part of the problem. Was not directed by the other Kung Fu Panda directors. However, it was written by the other movies. So Jonathan Albell and Glenn Berger returned. Also, they put Darren Lemke in there, who really barely has done anything, but maybe he was just in as whatever. But the other two are returning writers, which I found strange because it does have a different feel from the others. Mike Mitchell is not really a Alien 2 animation directing. He has directed animation before, so he was not an odd choice. So, which leads me back to that the writers dropped the ball on this one. Maybe they didn't know what to do with it, and they came out like he did Trolls. This Mike Mitchell. He did Shrek Forever After. He did SpongeBob. So again, he's done a bunch of different animated pieces. So again, he's not alien to it. And then he brought on Stephanie Stein, who's done nothing as co-director. She was probably there as being mentored. So again, I think it really went back to the writing. I didn't really have a problem with the directing, really. So it really stems back from the writing. We never understand what the motivation is for Shifu to tell him he's got to pass it on. It's just like, okay, I mean, we had 4 movies, so we have to do Kung Fu Fox next or whatever it may be, So that's how I kind of felt. Plus, the movie halfway through, or maybe even more, 2/3 through, Zen, who is this thief, and again, that scene, like, it has some really good scenes that, were semi-memorable, but the film as a whole is highly forgettable. I mean, I probably a week from now, I probably won't even know much about. It was just a couple of scenes that I have retained in my head. I mean, I'm already, the day later, and the movie is like completely forgettable for me. But again, maybe it was, if it was a child, maybe it would be highly, highly memorable. But anyway, so Zen is a thief and etc. and a con artist, which he ends up teaming up with. But 2/3 through the film, she completely changes. Her character just flips on a dime without a whole lot of setup to do that. Like we don't really see a progression of her character. We just see that she's getting a bond with him, but then boom, all of a sudden, she's a totally different person. And it was like a shock to the audience type of thing. Like, really, they're just throwing this. It's like, okay, we're in the 3rd act, so she has to change now, rather than being a natural progression where we see her alter, her alliances or allegiances to some of her past to her present. We don't really see that. Even when those alliances are challenged, she doesn't challenge it. And again, you'll know exactly what I mean when you see it, without me actually giving anything up as far as plot. Again, for children, this is a good children's movie. You should have no problem bringing your children to this film. It's not like it's a Disney film. Universal has now taken over as the top animation company in the United States, if not the world, with things like Gru. I think the new Gru film looks really good. And that harbors back to family and dynamics, where he has a wife and child this time. The last Gru movie I thought was really good as well. And I don't know if they're doing a new Shrek film, but all the Minions, etc. So they are bringing themselves up to more of a family animation where you don't have to worry about bringing your children to their films, as opposed to Disney, where you constantly have to wait to see what the reviews are before you know if you can bring your kid to it. You don't have any of those items here that could be, worrisome. So I do recommend the movie for families. I think they did a good job, and I think it does have a good message. Although if you kind of look at it as I am, as a writer, and the three-act structure and the arc of characters, it has issues. It does have issues, and it's not very memorable. Plus, Bryan Cranston's character and James Hong's character are thrown in completely. You could have removed them completely, and the movie would not have changed whatsoever. They're completely superfluous. They're like, oh, we have to throw these characters in, but they really didn't know how to do it, so they just chucked them in like a stew, carrots into a stew kind of thing, where it's just whatever. We're just going to stick it in with the ingredients. But they don't add anything to the film whatsoever. In fact, what I was missing also, which I don't know if they just didn't want to pay, all those actors, like Angelina Jolie and stuff like that, where she played Tigress. So all of the other characters that made up their team originally, they're absent from the film completely, but just by saying they're on other missions, So it was kind of lax. And I feel like the film was detrimented by the fact that they weren't there. I think that they, even at the end, they could have brought them in, for the final battle and things like that, but they don't. So if you're expecting to see them at all, they only come in at like the credits, So if you're expecting to see them, just, know that you're not going to see them. And I thought that they could have definitely brought them in, and I think that would have surged the film a little bit more, and maybe they could have used them to push the plot along about him passing along the torch. I think by adding, at least even if they had only added 2 or 3 of them, I think that it could have elevated the film. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. On a scale from 1 to 10, I'm going to give it like a 6.8. It's not quite a 7, so it is above average, but it's not great either. It's definitely not on the higher side of the Kung Fu Panda quadrilogy now, I guess. It's definitely not on the higher side, unfortunately. So that's my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think. That's it for me. And please like and subscribe. Give me the thumbs up. Give me the middle finger. Whatever you like. And then on top of that, if you can ring the bell, it's free. Ring the damn bell. And subscribe. So remember too that Lords of LA is on. You can fund my comic right now as a late pledge, so jump on that because we are going to be retiring some covers, and I do autograph them. You can get issue 1 and issue 2. And it is a more mature book, so we definitely have blood, sex, and fangs. It does take place in 1950s Hollywood, so of course I do also have a guest appearance by Marilyn Monroe. And then on top of that, we just got back from Gamma, so we're talking to retailers, etc., about our new game, which is Myth Lords, and it is a deck builder area control based on classic monsters with me and Mark Spears, who does comic book covers for Spawn and Spider-Man and Power Rangers, etc. I'm excited to get that out, but we've been play testing it, and here's a couple of cards I'll put up as well. And also check out some of my other videos. I will announce when we're going to launch. We're going to launch in a couple months. But check out some other videos as well as they pop up on the corner here. And I will see you guys on the next one. And thank you again for spending time with me.